The soccer gods once again smiling down on Chapel Hill with a beautiful day and a big-time game. How big? Well, how about a top 7 matchup? Number 7 Virginia at Dorrance Field to take on number 2 North Carolina. Both these teams come in with 7 wins on the season. Both these teams come in with 7 wins on the season. And hello, everybody. I'm Dean Linke. Always great to be with Special K, Matt Krause, and this game's going to be special.
Well, you're right, Dean, because these are 2 top 7 teams deserving of their rankings early on in the season. They both score goals at will, and they both keep opponents out of the back of the net. In the case of Virginia, they haven't conceded a goal since their season opener, August 18th. And you look at both of these teams and their ability to score. Carolina's scored at least 2 in all but 1 game this season. Something's got to give.
One player scoring like crazy right now for North Carolina is Avery Patterson.
The converted defender, Patterson, has taken her spot on the forward line for the Tar Heels this year and has found the back of the net 6 times, already more than her 5 all of last season. Terrific footwork for the junior from Florida. Watch this. She makes her defender fall down, makes the goalkeeper for Baylor fall down, and finishes with her left foot. Then last week against UCF, this beauty of a shot to put the Tar Heels on top for good and complete a comeback to win against the Knights.
Matt, Virginia's also loaded with attacking players, but Steve Swanson said the difference will be their goalkeeper, Kayla White.
Kayla White has waited her turn in this Virginia program. So many years behind Laurel Ivory. She's a respected leader. We already told you that the Cavaliers have not conceded a goal in nearly a month. And thanks to the strong play of the back line and White in net, Virginia among the nation's elite defensively this year.
ACC women's soccer always among the nation's elite. And we bring it to you. Number 7 Virginia, number 2 North Carolina. Next. Could be standing room only by the time this one is done. It's that big a game. Number 7 Virginia, number 2 North Carolina. Alongside Matt, I'm Dean. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for both of these teams. We'll start with Steve Swanson's Virginia Cavaliers.
We talked about Virginia's ability to play strong defense. On the offensive side of the field, Haley Hopkins, 7 goals for a 3rd-team All-ACC pick a year ago at the top of this 4-3-3 formation.
Haley Hopkins, 49 goals and 22 assists on her career. And this is the starting lineup for Anson Dorrance and the Tar Heels.
Another 4-3-3, Sam Meza in the midfield, the ACC's Defensive Player of the Week. Anson Dorrance says she may be one of the best on-ball defensive midfielders in the entire world.
North Carolina in their white uniforms from head to toe. Virginia orange, white, and orange socks. So great to be with you this early Saturday evening on ACC Network Extra, Dorrance Field, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Alongside Matt Krause, I'm Dean Linke. Nifty move already from Murphy. And Murphy has it taken away by Virginia. The crowd already in. It only took a couple seconds, Matt.
Great crowd on a beautiful night. Deserving of this top 7 matchup between 2 longtime ACC rivals.
Haley Hopkins, 49 goals and 22 assists. Alexis Spaanstra, 31 goals and 32 assists. And that is not even talking about Lisa Godfrey as well, one of the best players in the conference. Really impressive tandem up top, though, in Spaanstra and Hopkins. As you see Hopkins right there, the graduate student out of Newport Beach, California, and a transfer from Vanderbilt.
She's a player that Steve Swanson says is further along than she was at this point last year. And you mentioned transfer from Vanderbilt. Even with her limited time in the program, she's become such a respected leader among her teammates with just 2 years of playing for the Cavaliers.
Talia Stouty playing that center back along with Lacey McCormick. McCormick scored in the FDU game. Virginia dropped after tying VCU 0-0. They're 1 point number 5 in the country. Of course, North Carolina 1 point number 1. UCLA came into North Carolina and took care of Duke and North Carolina, both by identical scores.
2-1 victory for the Bruins 2 weeks ago tomorrow. It's the only game this season in which the Tar Heels have failed to score 2 goals.
That will roll out of bounds. Quick throw in for North Carolina. North Carolina, Emily Colton looking for Sentnor. Of course, Allie Sentnor missing all of last season after injuring her knee against UNC Wilmington. Here's Hansen. What a bright light she has been after you lose not one but two center backs, including arguably the best center back in the country early on in Macy Bell.
Macy Bell, a bona fide future professional, out due to injury, an Achilles injury that she sustained in the first game of the year against Tennessee. Kind of interesting, Ensign Dorrance told us that they could have found a way for her to play through the season, but it was more precautionary for her future and her prospects on the professional and international stage that they opted just to go ahead, have the surgery immediately after the injury, and then they had a lot of trust in Kaylee Hare, a freshman, and you mentioned dropping the game against UCLA, but also in that UCLA game, Hare sustaining a season-ending injury of her own. So enter Julia Dorsey, a career outside back, moving to the center back spot. Emily Moxley now playing outside back for the Tar Heels. It's kind of a patchwork back line, if you will.
Tori Hansen is known more for playing that 6'8", but she's also one of the players that has dropped back along with Julia Dorsey, and she's got 2 goals already on the season as a youth player under Damon Nahas for NCFC Youth. He coached her. That's what she was famous for, corner kicks and heading in goals, and starting to make it happen here now. Steve Swanson, the 2021 ACC Coach of the Year. He won that also in 2015. He's the 2022 FIFA Women's World Coach of the Year as well.
Long career in Charlottesville, 22 seasons, and he's won over 350 games at the helm of the Cavaliers. Still chasing that first national title, though, and he's got a squad that is built to potentially win it this season.
He was on the coaching staff for the 2019 World Cup team, the 2015 World Cup team, and the 2012 U.S. Under-20 World Cup championship team. So he has 3 World Cup championship rings that he's extremely proud of. Steve Swanson played collegiately in the Big Ten under the legend Joe Baum in Michigan State. Spent time at Stanford and Dartmouth, and the flag is up. It'll be offside.
So here's the first offside call of the game against North Carolina, Dean. In the Tar Heels' last game, last Sunday against UCF, they were called offside 12 times. It felt like any time that Ensign Dorrance's team had an opportunity to build up something, that flag would go up, and you can't imagine that makes the legendary head coach too thrilled to see that early on.
21 national championships, as he did on this week's United Soccer Coaches podcast, reminded me that it really is 22. That first one was not sanctioned by the NCAA, but he's right. They won 22 natties, and speaking of natties, the 92 team, we understand, is here. We'll have more on that at halftime. That 92 team, when they won the national championship game over Duke by a score of 9-1, that was their 58th consecutive win. And that pass inside, just a little bump. Referee says play on. Yes. No harm, no foul that time. Good look at Emily Colton, a sophomore from Carlsbad, California. And here's Kayla White. We gave Steve Swanson, we basically made him Tanner Phipps, our producer, and said, hey, who should we highlight? And he went right to Kayla White. I was impressed by that.
Very little hesitation to go with the goalkeeper, who is now in her 4th year in the program, sat behind Laurel Ivory. They thought she was going to play last year, but Ivory, using the extra year of eligibility, came back for that fall 2021 season. And so Kayla White confined to the bench yet again, but when she's made starts, this is her 13th in her career, 11-0-1 as a starter for Virginia. And that shutout streak for the Cavaliers is already climbing up there. They have not allowed a goal since the season opener against George Mason, all the way back on August the 18th.
Pushing forward here is Stouty. There's Meza, got her foot on it. One back here by Godfrey. Godfrey, really good in possession, an excellent passer of the ball. Sent back the other way. Virginia And now Dorsey will play it forward, but Virginia will win it back. Virginia sending a lot of jerseys forward right now. That was Constant a moment ago. Virginia stays with it, as turning on it was Haley Hopkins, and the Cavaliers still have it. Virginia pushes it wide right. Now central, Meza. Anson Dorrance effusive in praise for Meza, and almost a call out. I would call it a call out if you could break it down for us, Matt.
Yeah, he said, you know, she is such an elite defender that she belongs on the full national team essentially now. It was saying that, hey, when you think about 2023 and the World Cup, she is a player that deserves a spot, deserves at a minimum a call to national team camp. And Anson, you know, he is so motivated to bring his players on to the next phase of their career, whether that's the professional, international ranks, what have you. And you could see his display of affection for Sam Meza when we talked to him prior to this game.
Well, and part of the call out was factual in that she has dual citizenship to the United States and to Mexico. And Anson basically saying that if she doesn't get the call to be in the plans of some sort, then she'll go to Mexico, where you know for a fact she'll be playing right away.
And that the United States might regret that if they're playing Mexico and the folks waving the Mexican flag are cheering on Sam Meza.
Well, and speaking of the Mexican national team, a player that could be playing right now for Virginia, she had actually, believe it or not, 2 years of eligibility left, and that is Diana Ordonez, who will play tonight for the North Carolina Courage down the road in a game that'll start a little later. In fact, I would not be surprised to see a lot of the fans that are at this game make that jaunt and catch it before the end of the first half and the rest of the game, as the North Carolina Courage, winners of 5 of their last 6, will take on Olel Reign, featuring Megan Rapinoe and Rose Lavelle. So women's soccer on display all over the triangle. The North Carolina Tar Heels, after taking quite a bit of the possession from Virginia, had it for a moment. And Virginia will win it back. You see that constant pressure from Emily Murphy. She's got an unbelievable engine.
Murphy making the start on the forward line for the Tar Heels. Just her second start of the season. Sophomore out of England. Back to the Chelsea Academy.
So here's Emmy Allen, the redshirt freshman from High Point, North Carolina. Laurel Springs School, only allowed 1 goal, played all 8 games, 16 saves, and her record officially is 6-0. Mars Jovison played in 6 games in goalkeeper, which has been standard fare, even with Chris Ducar, who we saw earlier, moving up to the GM role to draw in crowds like he has brought here today. That was always the tradition for North Carolina, to play 2 goalkeepers.
And when there's no bona fide starter, Anson Dorrance opts to play 2 keepers, 1 each half, and that was the case for the first 6 games of the season. But when we talked to Coach Dorrance, he said, no, it's Emmy Allen's job. She has won it. She will play the full 90 until further notice. He loves the improvements that she's made with her vocal leadership and communication with her backline mates.
Virginia, again, showing the ability to put several passes together. There's that press, though, from North Carolina. Taking it now is Sentnor. Sentnor, so fast with the ball at her feet. Sentnor trying to stay with it. One balance, and it's parried away by Kayla White to keep this one at 0s.
Allie Sentnor back in the starting lineup here tonight. Took the ball away near midfield. Watch this, evades 2 defenders. She essentially took it 1-on-4. Did not wait for any help to arrive, even when she was closed down on by the standout outside back Lainey Rouse. Able to get a shot off, and though it didn't find the back of the net, it turns into a corner for the Tar Heels, already their 2nd of the game.
Big time talent, part of the USA youth system. That's why she missed a few games. That one will go over the crossbar. Taking that corner kick that time was Emily Moxley. There's a good look at Kayla White. Take a look at her numbers. 117 goals against average. In her career, in her limited time, she's 11-0-1 with 6 shutouts. So you're right, she had to wait, but the few times she did get in there, she delivered. So no surprise that Steve Swanson was going to be okay in goal when he saw that Kayla White was finally going to get her chance, Matt.
Coming off a game against VCU, in which she made a season-high 5 saves in a scoreless draw last Sunday, non-conference finale for the Cavaliers.
Sentnor dropped it back and sent a little bit too deep that time.
But going back to that VCU game, Dean, we talked to Steve Swanson about what Virginia experienced in that game against VCU, and he said give VCU credit, they had a plan. They played very compact defensively, and in a way, he was pleased that the outcome was a scoreless draw rather than a game in which VCU played really well and Virginia still walked away with a 1-0 victory, because a game where you don't earn the win, especially coming in 7-0, it's kind of a wake-up call, and it was a moment that this Cavaliers team needed headed into ACC play, because perhaps you can get a little less crisp and take your foot off the proverbial gas pedal if you see that you're 8-0 and somehow inflate your confidence a little bit. So he was pleased with the fact that they had to settle for that scoreless draw.
I never buy that. I always believe they want the win every single time. Virginia now trying to put their passes together. In a moment, we'll bring you the keys, heard directly from the coaches. And since Steve Swanson said he was okay with that VCU tie, we'll bring you his keys first. But right now on the attack is Sentnor and North Carolina. Making a far post run was Murphy. Sent across. White, Murphy, yes! And North Carolina takes a 1-0 lead. Murphy lurking, a shot from Patterson, denied by White, but the crowd loves it. It's 1-0 North Carolina.
Fourth of the season for Emily Murphy. Here's Sentnor again, 1v1 out on the wing. She drops it back. Beautiful pass on target. White made a nice save, but unable to clear it out cleanly. And Murphy alertly there. You saw her unmarked against Samar Guidry. Kind of lured the Virginia defense to sleep, to camp out there on the doorstep. And ultimately, though, Murphy able to score, and Virginia has given up a goal for the first time in 30 days, Dean.
Unbelievable the kind of offense that Sentnor can create, and draws players over to open it up, and then Murphy off the shot from long distance. White is going to need to be clean every time, because North Carolina will make you pay, and that's exactly where we are right now. 1-0. Meza running downhill, great footwork. She'll drop it off, and sent back across is Allie Sentnor again, the redshirt freshman out of Hanson, Mass.
When you see the impact that Allie Sentnor is having on this game, and you just touched on it a moment ago, even though it was Emily Murphy that scored that goal off an assist from Avery Patterson, Sentnor back in the starting lineup tonight at her natural position. She's a natural 9. The Tar Heels have utilized her in a wing role in a couple of games earlier this year, but she really thrives as a 9, came off the bench the last 2 games and has re-earned that starting role here tonight.
Virginia dribbles right into trouble, and North Carolina absolutely ripping balls away at the moment, as Tessa Delarose, another superstar freshman that has come right in and delivered the goods for Anson Dorrance, Damon Nahas, and the gang. That one's going to roll out of bounds. We talked to Steve Swanson before the game. We asked him directly for his keys to taking care of North Carolina, where it's been a tight advantage in the last 10 games, 4-3-3, and this is what Steve Swanson had to say.
Yeah, so with Virginia, key number 1 would be to strike early, and well, so far North Carolina on top in this one. Capitalize on counters That's where North Carolina's been vulnerable this year, but adding on another one that Steve Swanson told us about, Dean, it's defending set plays. He says that his team needs to improve upon that, both on the defensive side and the offensive side.
I did not realize we bumped aside Steve Swanson and went right to Special K with Krause's keys right there, breaking it down. Well done, my man. You got top billing on the keys.
We've got about a 350 win difference, 354 to be exact. I've got 0.
That's awesome. They'll fall to Murphy. And the flag is up. The run just a little bit too early. Offside. As you saw the run there from Emily Colton. Emily Murphy and Emily Colton. And there's Kayla White. Thought she had the stop, but Murphy was lurking right there. And Meza. Just absolutely beautiful weather. If there's anything at all, there's a little bit of sun, like for instance, as Meza went to trap that right there, I think she was looking into the sun, Matt, but other than that, I mean, it's ideal.
Well, what's interesting to me is that in this first half, North Carolina's Emmy Allen looking into the sun, defending the goal to the left of our broadcast position. And just given the time of year that it is, mid-September or so, by the time we wrap up this game, it'll be after sunset. So the sun is going to be a big problem for the left side of the field in the first half, not necessarily the second half.
So Izzy Cox is going to come in for Emily Murphy. As a familiar theme with North Carolina is subs, although we're not seeing quite like a 7 or 8 person massive line change. Sam Meza. Meza, side of her foot, is hoping to find Emily Colton, but it'll go all the way back to White.
Yeah, this year the largest grouping of subs for the Tar Heels has been around 4 or 5 players, not the prototypical, as you said, Dean, line change, 7 or 8, a group that Carolina has called the game changers through the years. Don't call them subs, they're game changers.
Cox ready to pounce right there, as putting pressure to get it away was Avery Patterson. Avery Patterson, that high press from North Carolina has been around forever and has been part of the fabric of this, including the one outside of the NCAA, 22-time NCAA, or 22-time national champion squad, North Carolina. And they've always had that high press. And that's also been one of the reasons why they've always played a ton of players.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Dean. The concept of the constant substitutions and the fresh legs allows North Carolina to be able to press so effectively because they've got players that are going to come in off the bench, and it's not going to be a drop-off in productivity from the original starting 11.
There's Avery Patterson, the player we featured to start for Anson Dorrance. Incredible record. I feel like you can easily call him the most successful college coach, any gender, any sport of all time. And he really has shown no signs of slowing down. Maggie Pierce, the senior out of Cary, North Carolina, will take the corner kick for North Carolina. Waited well, looking for Hanson, and Hanson heads it right to White. Hanson has become an elite level target on corner kicks for North Carolina.
She scored off a corner against Duke last week. Second goal of the season, and the Tar Heels as a team have a couple of goals off of corner kicks. Remember, Steve Swanson told us we have to defend those set plays. Mission accomplished there as White makes the stop on the header from Hanson.
Meza. So elusive, like a little Pac-Man, as this one is sent into the crowd where we promised standing room only, and we're starting to get to that point. I feel like before halftime, this place will be completely jammed here. A little early start, 6 o'clock, as you look at Meza and some of her accolades. Wonderful crowd, young and old, a lot of students here, a lot of alumni, and just a lot of out-and-out women's soccer fans. The sport is growing by the minute. Picked up there by White.
The Carolina football team on a bye week. The rest of the Olympic sports all on the road this week. It's a beautiful, beautiful night and a classic ACC rival in town. That's your recipe right there for a big crowd and an engaged crowd as well at beautiful Dorrance Field.
Tori Hansen coming in with those 2 goals. Here's Meza right now. Meza will drop it over to Colton. Colton. Cox. Good little fake back to Meza. Meza is offside. That was all started though by Meza and North Carolina's ability to hold up the ball with all kinds of pressure.
So the Tar Heels are called offside for the 4th time on the game. So just a little early on a run. But Dean, when was the last time that the ball got out of Carolina's attacking third? Feels like it's been several minutes. Virginia had a couple of looks maybe 10 minutes into this game. Otherwise, the possession has been dominated by the white jerseys rather than the orange.
100% accurate. You're right. Virginia came out, looked like they were going to try to get some possession, but North Carolina has taken over. And it hasn't hurt with the incredible play of Meza, with Sentnor, and then already subs making a difference, like Cox, who's trying to hold it up. Good pass by Cox to play it forward, and now turning on it is Sentnor. Just looking to get it back to Meza. Now we'll see if Virginia can do what Matt Krause just said, get it back into their offensive third, where they have been they've had trouble really, Matt, just getting out of their own defensive third.
Trying to build up slowly and connect passes. Carolina's done a really good job of closing down on those passes and taking the looks away for Virginia. And Steve Swanson told us that such an important key for the buildup for the Cavaliers to be able to handle the Carolina press would be creating space both on and off the ball. Well, the Tar Heels have taken that space away.
Constant shows. Drops it back over. Turnover again. That was Meza. And Tori Hansen, as I mentioned, scored 2 goals already. Did a courage game the other day where I interviewed a young player, 11-year-old, and she mentioned that she went to the Anson Dorrance camp, and she doubled down on the fact she liked it so much because Tori Hansen was her coach at the Anson Dorrance UNC camp. And Tori Hansen, you've talked to her before, Matt, as well. I mean, just a wonderful young lady and comes from a great family.
Yeah, her father, Dane, played volleyball on the professional level, and so some athletic genes for Hansen, but she's a player that's been a role player for several years, become a key starter this season, and a terrific
Sentnor, yes! 2-0 North Carolina.
First career back-to-back games with a goal for Allie Sentnor. You have a feeling it won't be the last. Still 3-4 defenders around her. Crosses it to her left foot and is able to finish. Check out this pass from Patterson to feed it to her. Sentnor gathers with the left, crosses to her right, back to the left. Such a narrow opening and still able to score. Beautiful, exquisite footwork.
Folks at home, you're looking at the #1 recruit coming in a year ago, lost for the whole season, and now has returned. Those kind of moves, getting around 4 players at this level against a team as good as Virginia, are the kind of moves that make people start to talk about you as the best player in the country. That was a special, special goal, Matt. You pointed out 4 orange jerseys around her. You also pointed out left foot, right foot, back to the left foot for the finish. She's the real deal.
And I think about the conversation that we had with Anson Dorrance last week when Sentnor came off the bench against Duke. He talked about the individual meeting that he had with her. And he asked her about, why she was frustrated. And she said, she wants to be out there and she wants to be starting. And her goal is to make the United States full national team. And he said, well, in order to do that, it's pretty simple. Defend the whole field, score goals, create goals.
Good pass in, trying to find Emma Dawson, but handled there by Emmy Allen. Emmy Allen, redshirt freshman from High Point, North Carolina.
Dean, you were talking about the Anson Dorrance soccer camp. Emmy Allen attended her first Anson Dorrance soccer camp when she was in the 5th grade. Her grandmother, mother, and aunts, all Carolina alums.
Well, that's the great thing. If you ever go to that camp, particularly now with Damon Nahas and all these great coaches around the program and former alumni, Susan Ellis, longtime coach at Durham Academy, they all come over. So Anson just holds court with all the parents, and he'll answer questions for over an hour as the kids are going at it almost non-stop. They've been working fitness at that camp, but right in the middle of it all, there he is, Anson Dorrance, talking to all of the parents, and he actually told them that they should listen to the Vision of a Champion podcast with, all these big-time stars like Carly Lloyd and Crystal Dunn and Jessica McDonald and Heather O'Reilly and Mia Hamm and Michelle Akers and Christine Lilly, and he claims that they have, and they've come back better for it, because the message from all those players are they didn't just work at practice, they didn't just work at the game, they had a ball with them at odd hours of the day, odd hours of the night. I mean, they were fully invested, and that's why a lot of those names are some of the world's best.
Well, there's the story that Anson Dorrance tells on that podcast, and fitting that on this night with the 1992 team is recognized, where he was simply driving to work one day and driving past a local park in Chapel Hill, and he sees someone out there on this cold, dreary winter day just running sprints alone in this park, and he realizes it's his player, it's Mia Hamm.
And that's what was a Vision of a Champion, which pushed him to write the book with Gloria Averbush, the mom of former midfielder Yael Averbush, who's now the GM of the Gotham team in NWSL. Here's Cox. Cox. Nobody stepping up to Cox, so now Sentnor is free. So now she'll try to pick somebody out, looking for Patterson on the far side. Headed away, closing down there for North Carolina was Emily Colton. It's North Carolina 2, Virginia 0. Yes, the series is heavily in favor of North Carolina, 39-4-5, but they only hold a slight 4-3-3 advantage in the last 10 meetings, talking about UNC. So certainly in the last 10, Virginia has been effective, but not the start that Steve Swanson wanted right there. The last time UVA won against I'm not totally sure on that one right there, man.
2014, the last time that UVA beat Carolina in the ACC semifinals that year. But to your point, Dean, last year these two teams played a scoreless draw on this field. So UVA here back-to-back seasons. And the reason being is that in 2017, UVA got a bonus home game, if you will, because this facility was under construction. And so it was repaid last year, where Virginia played just 4 ACC home games and Carolina got the 6th ACC home game, but everything back even now.
(2-0) North Carolina. Great job stepping up. Out of the back was Dorsey. Julia Dorsey, a two-sport superstar. Hopkins goes down and Hansen is there.
Two-sport superstar, the 6th student athlete to play on both the women's soccer and women's lacrosse teams at North Carolina.
Patterson Looking for Cox. To your point about the weather, the shade now lurking well past the center circle now. Here we go. We got 5 changes for North Carolina and 2 for Virginia. So North Carolina bringing in, among other players, Tori Della Peruta wearing number 9. Ruby Grant wearing number 3. As you see Pierce coming off, you're also seeing Sentnor come off. We look there at Ruby Grant. Ruby Grant, another part of that pipeline to England, where, of course, Anson Dorrance was loving every minute of the Euros, and the incredible story with England and the incredible ties with England, from their head coach to a lot of their superstars.
Well, Alessia Russo, former Carolina superstar, who opted to go back to England with Anson Dorrance's not just blessing but encouragement as the pandemic was raging that season, the 2020 year. Even though there was eligibility left for players such as Russo and Lota Wubben-Moy and Lois Joel, he said, rather than stay around, why not go back to England, kickstart your pro career? And he said, yes, that made Carolina a young team in 2021, but the message of the program and its success on the international level and building those international superstars spread throughout the highly viewed Euro tournament this summer.
Of course, many consider Lucy Bronze as one of the top 5 best players in the world now. And she plays an outside back and is just a wonderful player. Also played here in North Carolina. And was a key part of that team. Off the bench so far for North Carolina, Ruby Grant, Tori Della Peruta, Lauren Wrigley, Izzy Cox, Allie Gambone, and Libby Moore. Meanwhile, for Steve Swanson, Sarah Clark, Maggie Cagle, Emma Dawson are 3 of the subs. Chloe Yapich has also come on for Virginia. Gambone sent back over, and it'll be another corner kick, as once again that high press from North Carolina all over Virginia. They may have to start going Route 66 to just try to get through this press.
Yeah, Virginia is still trying to build up through patient passing, connecting passes through the various levels of the field. And Dean, I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Swanson makes the adjustment and tries to play a lot more directly in the second half.
Ruby Grant with the corner kick, lofted high over the head of Cox. Now Virginia, can they get transition going here? Off of a set piece. North Carolina so good at getting numbers behind the ball, and Cox takes it right away. Cox squares it. Almost leaked through to Gambone. Gambone keeps it alive and knocked out of there with Tori Della Peruta lurking. North Carolina will win it again. This is mostly the second unit, every bit as good as the first unit.
And that last sequence is just kind of a microcosm of the night, because you saw Virginia have an opportunity to push numbers forward on the counter, and we said that's where Carolina's been susceptible at points this season. And one of the keys to the game for Virginia, got to capitalize on that. But instead, Cox 1v1 takes the ball back, and the Tar Heels got several quality opportunities to maybe be 1 or 2 passes away there from adding a 3rd goal to this tally.
North Carolina 7 wins, 1 loss. That loss coming here against UCLA, as we talked about. Virginia 7 wins, 1 tie. That tie coming in their last game, 0s against VCU. Now the Cavaliers a little bit closer to the 18. That pass right there, though, read perfectly by Dorsey. Dorsey just 2 touches, gets rid of it. Grant's now on it. Not only is there not a drop-off, but the system stays intact. It's just incredible to see all those players come on and the team just keep on humming under Anson Dorrance.
They make another sub here with Emerson Elgin coming on.
So throw in for North Carolina. A little over 10 minutes remaining here in the first. Hansen, perfectly timed tackle. Good work by the Cavaliers, though, to win it back. And then Ruby Grant takes it right back again. Moxley gives it back to Grant. Grant too deep, and it'll go right to Kayla White, who has made 3 saves, but she's had to pick 2 balls out of the back of the net. It's 2-0 North Carolina with under 10 minutes remaining. Coming into that, though, as you mentioned, UVA had not allowed a goal in over 48 minutes.
UVA last conceded a goal in their season opener against George Mason all the way back on the 18th of August. Since then, it's been 7 consecutive shutouts.
North Carolina 2, Virginia 0, Dorrance Field. Chapel Hill, North Carolina, a wonderful crowd. Now Virginia, after that whistle, will play it out of the back. Bone. Go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say, Dean, Virginia still without a shot in this game.
Hansen was first. Checking all the way back is Della Peruta. Della Peruta up top with Wrigley and Cox now. Gambone right behind them, as well as Grant. One in the middle by Constant, who went to high school at T.C. Williams. For those of you movie buffs, that is, remember the Titans High School right outside of D.C. Virginia finds the feet of Sarah Clark. Godfrey was open a moment ago on the left. Now they do finally get it in the 18, but there's Dorsey again. Dorsey, as Matt Krause told you, a rock star lacrosse player, where pretty much just like the UNC women's soccer team, every year Jenny Levy and the UNC lacrosse team challenges for national championships, and of course they won it in 2022.
And Dorsey, a defender on that team as well, so even though she's made the transition from outside back to center back due to the injuries to the back line for the Tar Heels, as Nancy Dorrance says, she's capable of handling it because she's only a part-time soccer player, but she's a full-time defender. And that mindset, that tenacity, it carries over from the 2 sports.
Cagle. Good idea, but read perfectly there by Libby Moore. As Libby Moore, the senior from Wilmington, North Carolina, and Cape Fear Academy, sends it all the way up to Della Peruta, who will also put pressure on White. That is what is expected as Lacey McCormick plays it forward. Now Gambone will try to close. Gambone always among the leaders on the beat test. So many players so athletic on that beat test. Their fitness is off the charts, and it has to be when you play at North Carolina. You mentioned defense. Fitness is also a primary factor. Six shots for North Carolina, none for Virginia. as we're walking our way to just 5 minutes remaining here in the first half.
Virginia's starting to control a little bit more of the possession than they were in the middle of this half. And if the Cavaliers can somehow find a way to score one before halftime, you got to take that as a gigantic win if you're Steve Swanson, given the way that this game has gone. But sure enough, they give it right away.
Up 2-0. That was good work there by Fossey, who's come into the game. Now they're playing Wrigley. Look at North Carolina. It started on the left side, made it over the right. Now they were looking to get back to the left. Read really well there by Virginia. Watch Gambone try to track down, trying to avoid fouling. And finally, Hansen there. One back, though, by Carter. Maya Carter, now Hansen wins it back. Virginia staying with it. And finally knocked out of bounds by the Tar Heels. Emerson Elgin knocking it out. Matt pointed out earlier that she came into the game.
Placing Tessa De La Rose.
And just like you talked about now, Matt, is now Allen does not have to worry about the sun in her eyes.
The entire field clothed in the shade.
Constant. Stouty had it for a moment. Played to the feet of Dawson. Better work here from Virginia. That's Meredith McDermott. Gambone can't keep it in. It'll be a throw in for Virginia, who would like nothing more than to at least try to pull one back here before that first half whistle. Ruby Grant with a good touch, and now North Carolina in transition. North Carolina. Pass made there by Fossey. Now here's Dorsey. Tori Hansen and Dorsey. It's next player up mentality with two center backs going down to season-ending injuries. It is just non-stop pressure, and as you mentioned earlier, Matt, those subs, they come in, they're hungry. They want to show Hansen that they want to be in that first rotation, so they bring it. Ruby Grant has been solid.
And they come in with fresh legs, right? You think about, okay, when you're bringing in these new players, they're players that they're rested, and oftentimes Carolina opponents don't have that depth, and so it's fresh legs versus tired legs. When the natural talent level is comparable, you're going to have an advantage.
Gambone looking to combine with Della Peruta, and also Fossey was making a really good run right down the center as well. The spacing, even with these subs, has been outstanding, as we've got another sub coming in, Maddie Darlene. So Darlene, a freshman from Minnesota. Number 66 recruit in the 2022 class.
You think Allie Sentnor's fast, just wait till you see Maddie Darlene.
Far side. Darlene continues to fight. 50 seconds remaining here in this first half. North Carolina 2, Virginia 0.
See if Virginia can make anything out of this counter.
Gambone. .20 seconds remaining. That's still plenty of time for North Carolina to get goal number 3. Moxley in. It'll be a corner kick. They'll need to hustle here, though. They only have 10 seconds. They got to go really fast. And I don't think they're going to have enough time. Gambone. Yep, that's not going to work. So 45 minutes to play, though. #2 North Carolina 2, #7 Virginia 0.
Dominant first half from the Tar Heels, controlling possession, capitalizing for a couple of goals to snap Virginia's scoreless streak defensively. And the #2 team in the country coming to play. Adjustments aplenty needed for Steve Swanson and his team in the second half.
Yeah, we'll see what Virginia can do, but right now it's been all North Carolina. Early on, Murphy ready for the spill from White. Tap in goal, made it 1-0. And then Sentnor, one of the best in the country, 2-0. North Carolina leads it. Stay with us as we bounce around the ACC. North Carolina up 2. Some of the members of the UNC men's soccer team at Dorrance Field to root on the women's team, which is beating Virginia by a score of 2-0 in this top 7 matchup. We welcome you back in, Matt Krause, Dean Linke, and let's go to work, Matt, and show everybody the first half highlights in this one, which will include, of course, 2 goals from North Carolina.
Well, a Virginia team that had not conceded a goal since August 18th gives up 2 of them in the first half of play. And a lot of reason goes to Allie Sentnor. Sentnor dropping it back here. Defense converges. Great save by Kayla White, but it's Emily Murphy there to put it home. Alertly positions herself. And then Sam Meza going to work. Finds Avery Patterson. Back to Sentnor. Count the orange jerseys. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the left foot. Able to score through all of that traffic. A brilliant goal for the redshirt freshman to double the Tar Heel advantage and put Carolina in front 2-0. This was special.
I'm going to give her credit for 6 because she also got it by the goalkeeper, and there was one more defender trying to get back on the line. And the stats, anything stand out to you here, Matt?
0 shots for UVA, even though the Tar Heels are ahead on the scoreboard. It's not like the Carolina defense has been making any desperation saves. Virginia just hasn't had chances.
Both teams back out, ready to roll here as they honored the 92 team that finished an amazing 25-0. There was all kinds of alumni on the field as well, even players that weren't on that 92 team. Alumni weekend as everybody has a great time. Dean Linke here with Matt Cross at Dorrance Field. Second half underway. North Carolina in their home whites. Virginia orange, white, and orange. We'll see if what Steve Swanson had to say to his team at half will come into effect here, and if Virginia can get something going. The Cavaliers cutting back inside here is Rouse. Taken away. Hansen is so calm on the ball. I think that's that sort of 6'8" pivot mentality that she has brought back to that center back role.
Just extremely calm defender who is able to get to spaces she needs to be in. As the Cavaliers see an opportunity go by the wayside. Fiorette slipped there.
Murphy. A tap-in goal. Meza. Back to Murphy. Sentnor ranks it first time, but that'll be no problem for Kayla White.
Such an impressive performance for Allie Sentnor in the first half. And truthfully, this entire season, a player that tore her ACL just a couple of minutes into the first exhibition game she played as a Tar Heel last year. It was against UNCW on the road, and she made her Carolina debut in the regular season this year against that same UNCW team and scored in the debut. Just a really special completion of the circle.
Cagle came on in the first half and starts the second half for Steve Swanson, and they'll try to find Cagle. Hansen was there first, won back by Spaanstra. Good visit at halftime. Interview with Spaanstra. Talking about the pressure of coming in here, you could kind of sense it in her answer right there. She knew what it meant to come to Chapel Hill and play at Dorrance Field.
Place where the Cavaliers played last year. That was a scoreless draw. Won't be the case tonight.
So first kind of quality shot. I mean, it wasn't on frame, but at least the opportunity was there for Virginia. Spaanstra, 1.2 preseason All-ACC team, second team All-ACC a year ago.
Player that plays with great pace, gets out of pressure really well. Was held in check in the first half.
Virginia now on the board with a shot. Good pressure. Closing down from Hopkins. Matt, in your expert opinion, what are some things that Virginia needs to do to get back into the game this second half?
Well, even though that shot from Lisa Godfrey was not on frame there, Dean, it's the right idea. Virginia can't be tentative when they have opportunities offensively. Capitalize, whether it's on the counter or being able to take quick shots, perhaps in a situation like this.
Really good start to the second half for Virginia. This will lead to a throw-in back from North Carolina. And part of that, though, has been Cagle, the freshman from Phoenix, Arizona, and Arcadia High School for Steve Swanson coming off the bench. That's Ron Rabb. He's been around a long time. 17 of the 23 seasons with Steve Swanson, and also sitting there is Sam Raper in his first season.
Coach Swanson heaped a lot of praise on Maggie Cagle. She started 3 games so far this year as a freshman. He loves her potential and her versatility.
Murphy, really well-weighted ball. Murphy trying to find Patterson. Patterson comes into the game, as Matt Krause talked about in the open, with 6 goals on the season, more than she scored all of last year. Sentnor. One back by North Carolina, Emily Colton. Tessa Della Rose. Turning on it is Colton. Colton in for Meza. One back by Virginia. They'll use their goalkeeper, Kayla White. See if that pressure works. Just crashing in there with a really well-timed run was Tessa Della Rose. Coming into this game, North Carolina had taken 95 more shots than its opponents, and they're only adding to that, as now it's 101 more shots than their opponents.
They've held opponents, Dean, to single-digit shots in the last 4 games. Virginia completely shotless in that first half. Just 1 shot so far this game, and that was the look from Godfrey a couple of minutes ago.
Played into space. Emily Colton in a foot race there. Tackle coming in from Stouty.
Talia Stouty cuts this ball out well, prevents Colton from getting a cross in. Stouty, ACC Defensive Player of the Week a couple of weeks ago.
Kept alive in the far corner by North Carolina. Such good technical work, and finally, though, picked up there by Kayla White. You can tell all of the work they do in tight quarters pays off in the games, as we've seen it so many times, particularly with the talent number 21, Sentnor.
This game kind of feels like a coming out party for Ali Sentnor. It's her first ACC game, and some of these skills have been on display throughout the non-conference portion of the season, but I've seen her play with a different gear tonight. Only the beginning, Dean.
Only the beginning. But one thing that is continuing to happen for this North Carolina program are the great crowds. I mean, Anson Dorrance got up on the soapbox, and he's not afraid to do. Anson Dorrance on the soapbox is a thing of beauty because it's plug and play. It's a broadcaster's dream as he doesn't hold back, and he's talking about the importance of big-time crowds. He was thrilled to hear about Purdue setting attendance record, what BYU has done, but he made it clear that his goal for Chris Ducar as the new GM of this team is for North Carolina to finish #1 in attendance. That's their goal. He put it out there, and they want to try to make it happen.
And it's all about growing the game, which he has done in so many ways in his extended tenure. Anson Dorrance essentially built women's college soccer. He was able to make this program a varsity program at North Carolina. Through the dominance through the years, it encouraged other schools across the country, Virginia being a great example, to catch up in terms of their investment and resources that they pour into the sport. And so now it's taking it to that next step to be able to not only to continue to develop professionals and international players, but to make it a spectator sport and increase TV ratings. And, you know, something that's kind of gone under the radar is that the national championship game is now going to be played on a Monday night instead of opposite the National Football League on a Sunday. Another look here. Sam Meza working on Godfrey. Going in for the tackle.
Here come the Cavaliers, trying to get one back. Shot and in! What a finish by Virginia, making the run. Rebecca Jarrett has pulled one back for the Cavaliers.
A much-needed goal for Virginia. Third of the season for Rebecca Jarrett, graduate student. Jarrett makes her way through two defenders and has a step on Della Rose the entire time. Emmy Allen was not looking back toward that near post. And a great job by Jarrett to control the shot with the inside of her left foot and be able to direct it to the near post. Past both defenders. Allen didn't have time to sneak over there and get to it.
A rare time where the close just wasn't there. I mean, normally North Carolina would close it down, but the third goal of the season coming right there for Jarrett.
Rebecca Jarrett, limited last year, tore her ACL. Has made a recovery from that injury. Steve Swanson says she's progressing well, especially coming off of the injury, being able to return to the starting lineup this year for the Cavaliers. Sixth start of the season for Jarrett tonight.
So now just a one-goal game. And Haley Hopkins stays with it. Hopkins, I have no idea how she still has the ball at her feet. And Virginia keeps it alive. Spaanstra looking for Jarrett. North Carolina under a lot of pressure here. And then the foul will bail them out.
That was downright remarkable how Haley Hopkins was able to maintain possession of the ball with multiple white jerseys around her as she was making that run.
Dorsey sends it long. It's one back again by Stouty. And right now, Virginia looking like a team that has all the confidence in the world to try to tie this one up. They've got one already, scored by that player right there, number 13, Jarrett. She'll drop it back to the feet of Theorette. Now the Cavaliers starting to put passes together. They're looking for Godfrey and taken away. North Carolina, though, can pounce quickly in transition. Murphy got it started. Now Sentnor. So fast with the ball at her feet. Stays with it. So strong. Looking for Patterson. Cleaned up by Kayla White.
Virginia is a team that can explode offensively, Dean. 4 games this year of 5 or more goals. Now, granted, that competition was not against #2 North Carolina. But still, Virginia knows how to generate offense. You see the statistics there on your screen.
Second ball by Virginia. Third ball turned over. Meza seems to always be in the right place at the right time. Freshman plays it back to Hansen. Hansen trying to find Patterson. Bad bounce. It'll come back to the Virginia Cavaliers and Laney Rouse. There's Patterson. Della Rose. 1 assist coming into the game. Brownsville High School, Grindstone, PA. Personnel, and then with the losses to the 2 center backs, has kept North Carolina for the most part in a 4-back system. North Carolina famously known for the 3-4-3, but when you lose different players, you got to change it up.
We've also seen some 3-5-2 out of the Tar Heels in recent years.
Hopkins. Yeah, we've seen a lot of different formations, and we've seen formation changes in game 3, 4, 5 times. And sometimes there's some great stories between Damon and Anson on how late game formation changes in important games. ACC tournament games and NCAA tournament games have kept the Tar Heel machine moving right through. Throw in, and it'll be a corner kick Virginia. A little over 31 minutes remaining in this game. So Virginia, as you saw Allen barking out instructions from her goalkeeper spot. Corner kick coming from Godfrey. Over there for the short corner is Thea Red if they need it, but North Carolina has sent 2 players out to try to put an end to that thinking. So here comes Godfrey, really good ball. Allen, boy, Allen did well to keep her arms long, tap it down, and then go and get it.
Remember, Emmy Allen was not playing second halves in the first 6 games of the season. Mars Josephson was, and one of the reasons why Allen had a leg up over Josephson to claim the full-time starting role was her size and her range at 5'10". That's a ball that, quite honestly, maybe the 5'6" Josephson doesn't get to.
Start to see Virginia win a lot more of the second balls off of goal kicks. And that might be another corner kick. I think it will be. It'll be another corner kick, Virginia.
Steve Swanson told us it was going to be so imperative for Virginia to improve upon their set plays, both offensively and defensively. Chances offensively are starting to come in bunches here in this second half, Dean.
Indeed they are, as you saw into the eyes there of Emmy Allen, the redshirt freshman goalkeeper, who really didn't get much help as far as Jarrett, anybody closing down Jarrett. Jarrett had a pretty good look and was able to beat Allen. So here we go, another corner kick. Godfrey has been sending in some rifles. Kept alive, yes, and Virginia's tied it. Set pieces, Steve Swanson said would be the difference. You just amplified it, and now Virginia has tied it.
Alexis Spaanstra with her 3rd of the season. And the Cavaliers, after a less than stellar first 45, have come out and silenced Dorrance Field in a 15-minute span. First ball was won by Carolina, but again, it's that second ball that's headed on, and then Spaanstra right there. What a beautiful head on by Lacey McCormick to find Spaanstra, who was camped out perfectly.
As you mentioned, 3rd goal of the season. Give Godfrey credit as well, and for a lot of you young players at home, when you see the way she drives in that corner kick, it creates all kinds of opportunities, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, Godfrey perfect weight, hammered it in there. North Carolina can't get a clean clear. It's kept alive, and like you said, Matt, McCormick with a neat flick, and then Spaanstra knowing where she is with another neat flick, and just like that, we're tied at 2. I almost can't believe what we're seeing just based on how dominant North Carolina was, Matt Krause, in the first half.
Well, Virginia, like you said, Dean, they're starting to do a better job of winning possession off of goal kicks. They're closing down some of the passing lanes, and Virginia has come out like a different team after halftime.
Hansen will lose it that time. It's Haley Hopkins. One more goal and she'll have 50 in her amazing career.
Perhaps Lacey McCormick's best quality is her play in the air. We saw it here. And Spaanstra, she had her back to the goal mouth. That's an instinct play between two seniors.
Driven in. This one a little bit deeper, but picked up by Virginia. The cutback not there. Some of the subs now have come on, including Cox. Cox takes the long run, but denied there by Virginia, and they'll come all the way back. Just confirm that space for his jersey. Right. Cox, Meza, Colton now to find Gambone, who's come back in as well. It'll be a throw in for North Carolina. Elgin has also come back into the game, and here's Elgin. We'll drop it back to Hansen. Meza, such a pretty shot off the crossbar.
That's Sam Meza's sweet spot on the field. Couple of yards outside the 18-yard box. If she gets a clean look, not afraid to pull the trigger. And you see she had some space around her. Drilled off the crossbar, though.
Meza, 1 goal and 3 assists. So close to making that second goal off the crossbar and into the crowd here. A wonderful crowd once again at Dorrance Field in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. North Carolina, if you're just tuning in, had 2 goals in the first half, and Virginia did not have a shot. Virginia has made the most of their shots here in the second half, though, to get back in this one. We're tied at 2. Meza started this play. She'll get it back near the end line. First time back in. Cleared out by the Cavaliers. What a difference a half makes.
I will say the energy for the Tar Heels has picked up since that second Virginia goal. Virginia's been playing with another year of energy this entire second half.
North Carolina into the 18. Colton was lurking at the top of the 18 and cleared again by Virginia. Great hold-up play by Hopkins. Haley Hopkins. Haley Hopkins, even with Libby Moore all over her, still allows Virginia to keep possession. Under 25 minutes remaining in this one. Hopkins, such a great check back player, whether it's at the top of the 18 or at midfield. And then her ability to spin and run with it, pretty special. Those numbers again, 49 goals and 22 assists. Spectacular. Cox calling for it, and it's knocked out of bounds. Up next to Tori Della Peruta, number 9, calling for it.
Look at this run here from Cox. That was Emily Colton that couldn't quite settle it down. You see right there, Della Peruta, the second option. Tar Heels still earn a corner off of it, though.
A good run from Cox, pretty good service as well. And Moxley will work her way over to take the corner kick. 2-2. Rebecca Jarrett in minute 54, minute 61. Alexa Spaanstra, assisted by Lacey McCormick, answers the goal from Emily Murphy, assisted by Avery Patterson, as well as the Allie Sentnor goal, assisted by Avery Patterson and Sam Meza. So Avery Patterson with 2 assists in this game. For Hansen. Cleaned up by Moore. Punched out of there by White. The flag was up anyway, it didn't matter.
Obviously a very long way to go in this one, Dean, but for some historical context, the last time the Tar Heels held a 2-goal lead in a game and did not earn 3 points, November of 2018 against UCLA in the NCAA tournament quarterfinals. They would win on penalty kicks, so advancing on to the College Cup. Last time in the regular season that occurred, that the Tar Heels held a multi-goal lead, did not win the game, 1985.
Hopkins. Virginia will keep it. Virginia now, they've almost, part of the message from Steve Swanson clearly was, hey, North Carolina's going to pressure and North Carolina's going to hip check you, they're going to shoulder check you. Basically, be ready for that. Have your body ready and be ready to give it back. This referee is letting them play. As you see, the fired up Steve Swanson. And make no mistake, physically, Virginia has brought it in the second half. And Steve Swanson's got to be proud of his Cavalier team.
It's almost as if they needed a first 45 minutes to realize, okay, we've been on this roll, 7 straight games without allowing a goal. Yet this is a new challenge. ACC play on the road against a longtime rival in North Carolina. And whatever was said in the halftime locker room, it worked in a big way.
Indeed. Theoret. Nobody home on that far side. It'll be a throw in for North Carolina. North Carolina, by the way, 30-5 all time in ACC openers, including a 10-3 mark when playing the first conference game at home. It's worth mentioning that a new change in college soccer, men and women, no overtime until conference tournament play and, of course, NCAA tournament play. If the game is tied after regulation, it will end in a tie. And as it relates to seeding for the ACC, it's standard fare, just 1 point as opposed to 3 for a win. Gambone. Gambone had Della Peruta and Cox. Gambone stays with it. And I feel like the referee could have brought it back to the Gambone foul. I thought she was fouled on that last effort, but it doesn't matter. It stays with Gambone. And Gambone will win it back. Della Peruta was offside, so it's probably better that that was checked back. Pierce, now Gambone. Pierce wearing number 28. Here comes Gambone, the senior from Clifton, Virginia, Centerville High School. Another one of those players feels like he's been here a long, long time. Meza. So Good in tight quarters. Finding Colton. Meza will get it back. Meza spinning. Cox. Della Peruta! Just missing. Good idea from Cox. That's the second time Cox has had her eye on Della Peruta and just missed her.
Isabel Cox coming in from the wing again. Great ball to get it out to her with some space. Oh, Della Peruta trying to one-touch it, sneak it inside the far post. Inches away from the go-ahead goal.
Number 10 recruit in the 2022 class. Didn't start today, but trying to make an impact here with the game tied. Virginia answers with 2 here in the second half. Plenty of time for both teams. And a whistle called against Della Peruta. They will come back to Virginia.
Dean, something on that last chance for the Tar Heels that I noticed is the way that Virginia closed down on Sam Meza defensively. She had a lot less space, especially around the top of the 18-yard box, compared to some recent chances for North Carolina. That's an adjustment on the fly by Virginia.
These balls in the midfield were ones that Meza was winning every time. This second half, Virginia has won a ton of those balls in the midfield and started their attack. And another shot! Oh my! How did that get by Allen? It snuck in, and a finish from long distance, I think Godfrey, and it's 3-2 Virginia.
Leah Godfrey out on the wing. Receives that ball. It's her movement off the ball that allowed her to get into space. Maggie Pierce was the defender on her. Pierce sagged off, paying attention to Maggie Cagle. And as a result, Godfrey takes the shot through traffic. And somehow Allen allows it to go in.
Wow, what a second half for Virginia. 4th goal of the season for Leah Godfrey. Named to the preseason Mac Herman Trophy watch list. Of course, the preseason All-ACC pick as well. Already had goals against FDU, JMU, and Oregon State, and now has one against North Carolina, and it would be a game winner. Too, Emmy Allen, that's essentially considered a near post goal, which is I think your #1 rule there as a goalkeeper. We got a yellow card there on Della Peruta. Virginia has stormed back here in the second half. They have a 3-2 lead.
And Della Peruta grabbing the arm of Cagle there. Perhaps a frustration foul.
Called against Virginia.
So let's go back to this Godfrey goal here, Dean, to put Virginia on top. And you made the point. It's a near post goal. Allen dives for it, just ever so slightly off on the timing. I don't know if she was screened off by the bodies in front of her, not anticipating Godfrey to take the shot.
Weekend, but it's the Virginia Cavaliers trying to spoil the party. North Carolina on the whistle, looking for Dorsey. Gambone kept it alive. Now Pierce will trap it. Pressure from Hopkins, and that pressure wins it back for Virginia. So Everything North Carolina was doing in the first half, Virginia is doing in the second half, and it is working one better than North Carolina. That's right, it's number 7 Virginia 3 and number 2 North Carolina 2. As you take a look at the difference in a half, first half 0 shots, 0 goals, second half 4 shots, 3 in the back of the net for the Cavaliers.
What a difference a half makes. Truly remarkable, this effort by Virginia. Now here comes Allie Sentnor back in. Anson Dorrance sends in Sentnor, sends in Avery Patterson. Some starters back in. 15.5 to go in this game. Clarifying a couple of points we were making earlier about the historical context for the Tar Heels, that losing a 2-goal lead in 1985 against George Mason, that was a game that resulted in a tie. The last time Carolina's lost a 2-goal lead and lost was in 2011 against Texas A&M, but that was in overtime. So if this scoreline holds, it will be the first time ever in Carolina history that the Tar Heels will have squandered a multi-goal lead and lost the game in regulation.
It was interesting to breaking all that down. We saw one of the SID icons, Dave Losey here, who I would call it the Bible. I mean, the media guide on North Carolina women's soccer was so deep and thick during the Dave Losey days, Matt. It was something special. Mercy. A little bit of miscommunication there. I mean, Moxley did not realize that Mercy was passing it back to him. Once again, Virginia, they didn't win any of these balls. They didn't win any of the balls in their offensive third, defensive third, midfield. They're winning all of them in the second half.
And it wasn't that it was not fluky bounces. Let's put it that way. It was they were being out hustled by North Carolina, out positioned by North Carolina in the first half.
Emerson Elgin stays in there. Saw the dummy right there by Wrigley, but nobody was behind. So now Grant has got to hustle to get it back. The North Carolina bench trying to get their team back into it. Plenty of time left. Still 13:30. White will boot that one long.
And Anson Dorrance made the point, the UCF game last week, Carolina trailed 1-0 early, came back to win 2-1. He said it was so important to have a game like that, to be able to put that feather in your cap, if you will, a game where you face that adversity. You go down and you're able to remain composed and battle back and earn the victory. That's one thing in a non-conference game where you're down 1-0 in the first half. A game like this one will be a different story.
Grant. North Carolina now looking to tie it, and it'll be a corner kick. No. Wow, I was 100% convinced that went off an orange jersey, and all the breaks right now going for the Cavaliers. It will not be a corner kick. 3 goals in the second half for Virginia. What a story. What a second half for the Cavaliers. Unbelievable as they come out with energy and they run straight downhill and they get all 3. It'll come back to Virginia. Murphy with a goal in minute 14. Sentnor adding to it. And 2-0 at the half. North Carolina feeling great, but Virginia comes roaring back. Jarrett went right down Main Street. Spaanstra, the beneficiary of an incredible corner kick from Godfrey and then a header from McCormick. And then speaking of Godfrey, way downtown. And it's 3-2. And actually, Matt, as good as the goal was from Godfrey, and it's a very special goal, that corner kick that she had on what was the equalizing goal was pretty solid too.
And she doesn't get the assist on that because the ball first hit a Tar Heel, then hit Lacey McCormick, and then eventually off the head of Spaanstra. But a beautiful service on that corner kick, and Virginia making experienced plays in this second half. A veteran team that is not afraid of the moments, contrary to what we saw in that first half.
Wow. That sounded like a loud collision on Elgin right there. Dorrance staying positive. All right, so this is where he puts in pretty much the full team for the final 10 minutes to see what they can do. So that means Patterson will be out there. Difference is Elgin stays on as Della Rose got pulled in the first half and also in the second half. Jarrett got it started. Rebecca Jarrett, who plays it all the way back. You see the pressure now from Sentnor. Oh, that did just enough. Now Cox. Cox somehow successful in tracking it down. Runs downhill. It'll fall. Colton. Oh my, just missing. Emily Colton. She knew where she wanted it and just missed it, Matt.
Perhaps the best look Carolina's gotten to try and tie this match up since going down 3-2. Another beauty of a cross coming in from Cox was headed back right to Colton with space. Ball a little bit too heavy. And Dean, keep in mind this Tar Heels team bringing back 10 starters from last year's team. There were a couple of moments last year, the Virginia Tech game here at home, in which they trailed 2-0 in the 80th minute, came back to earn a 2-2 draw. The game at Boston College, trailed 1-0 in the 85th minute, came back to win it 2-1. So there have been moments of brilliance in terms of finding 2 goals in the waning moments of regulation. Does Carolina have it in them again, or will Virginia complete the most improbable of comebacks ever on this field?
Well, while they're doing it, Virginia is putting passes together. They're making North Carolina work extremely hard to just get the ball. Look at Virginia. They have strung 11, 12 passes together, even more before they finally turn it over to Dorsey. Now North Carolina, can they get numbers in support? Turn right back over again.
And how many times, Dean, in the first half did we say Virginia's completing 1 or 2 passes but can't quite complete a third, and they turn it over against the heavy press?
Too many to remember, Matt, and that's why this second half is so impressive, because not only do they come back with the 3 goals, they have won those second balls, they have won the third balls, and now with this 1-goal lead, they're continuing to keep the ball, which is the best way to kill off a game. Don't just boot it long, don't just bunker, but play, and they're playing. Hopkins. Haley Hopkins will give it back, but Haley Hopkins hungry for that 50th career goal. Her dad David played baseball at Virginia. As you see some more changes here. Smart Gidry, junior from Plano, Texas. McKinney Boyd High School will come in. Matt Krause, we've seen a lot of soccer. I did not see this second half coming. Not that Virginia isn't one of the most talented teams in the country, because they are, but just because the way North Carolina executed in that first half, and Virginia without an answer, but that's why they call it halftime. You take your time, you figured it out, and Steve Swanson has figured it out.
It's absolutely incredible, Dean, because you're right. It's one thing to say, okay, a team as talented as Virginia is going to make a comeback and find another gear in the second half. but it's another to think that they're going to do that, especially after how they played in that first half. Nothing was going right for the Cavaliers. They couldn't maintain possession. They didn't have a single shot. Meanwhile, North Carolina was capitalizing on their chances. Here's Hopkins again.
Hopkins. Wow, saving the day at the very last minute is Tessadella Rose. Meza. Walking our way down to 6 minutes. Meza plays it long and one back again by Virginia. That back line has been solid, and then in the middle of the park, players like Claire Constant, players like Rebecca Jarrett, they have made themselves available. There's Jarrett right now, right on cue. And they're not losing the ball. They're keeping possession as we're under 6 minutes. They are finding the space, and they believe.
When we were introducing the coaches off the very top of the broadcast, we said Steve Swanson's done an awful lot at Virginia over his 22 years. The one thing he's never done, win a national championship. And this year's roster has that makeup, that potential to be there in Cary. College Cup first weekend in December. But this now is the kind of win that instills that belief in a veteran team that, okay, we can go do it, make some Cavalier history.
You could not be more on point with that comment right there. Particularly the way they listened. Although North Carolina can equalize right now, White denied. Remember, Steve Swanson picked White as the difference maker. She may need to make the difference here in the final 5 minutes. That's where we are right now. One bounce. Ooh, a little bit of spin right there as Patterson was trying to get to the ball. White manages the spin. She knows the deal right now. She's going to take her time.
Good ball over the top to the very speedy Maddie Darlene. Right idea. Carolina playing direct. You don't have much time.
Virginia continues to keep possession, taking away that time by Libby Moore. And the Cavaliers looking to try to knock it off of Sentnor. Sentnor, unbelievable 1v1 player. Lofted ball. Meza will be ready. Colton's at the top of the 18. She's wide open. Meza. And Meza will dribble it out of bounds. And Virginia feeling it with that. I want to thank our amazing crew, Tanner Phipps, Ethan Ferrara, Joe Ferrara, Eric Haynes, Leo Davidson, Dylan Field, Paul Bean, Rita Lou, Andrew Lewis, Ryan Givens, Seth Taper, Stephen Bagley, Kevin Tucker, Ryan Schmidt, Jasmine Baker, and Claire Hutto. Alongside Matt Krause, I'm Dean Linke. And Matt, look, North Carolina is still going to challenge for an ACC title. They're still going to challenge for an ACC tournament title. They're still going to challenge for yet another national championship. But if Virginia can hang on and win this, you know, as Steve Swanson said, the record hasn't been great against North Carolina, but in the last 10, it's been pretty good. This would be a massive win.
Another chance.
And there's White.
But you're right, Dean, going back to that point, this is the win that validates the undefeated non-conference portion of the season, conceding just the one goal and running up some really impressive scores. Now Virginia's proven, okay, you know, we are here to contend. They've got another road game against Notre Dame next Thursday. They go to Duke before the month of September is over. And you just look at the first 5 ACC games for Virginia: Carolina, Notre Dame, Duke, Florida State.
Dorsey now to Hansen. Saw Damon Nahas telling his team to get numbers forward, but it's almost like Steve Swanson is out there with them. That's how good the message was, because even after they've taken the lead, they've continued with this aggression. Hopkins, yeah, she'll head to the corner, and that's probably the smart move. With 2 minutes remaining as they try to put this game on ice. A tremendous crowd here on Alumni Weekend. Saturday evening special, as you mentioned earlier, Matt, before we came on the air, the cliche Chamber of Commerce Day. I mean, it really did work, didn't it? I mean, just a beautiful day, Matt. And kind of what would be a shocking result for this mostly Tar Heel fan. And you see Mondo Baycott and some of the Tar Heel basketball players here as well. You throw in. The Cavaliers bossing this second half and trying to put it on lockdown with 90 seconds remaining, and they still have it.
You would think that Virginia is plenty content doing this. They're just going to throw it into the corner. They're going to make Carolina get it out of there.
I thought that was off North Carolina too. They'll give it to the Tar Heels that time, but look at Virginia. Look at these second balls. None of these were won by the Cavaliers in the first half.
And the energy on the Virginia bench. The way that the Cavaliers have come into this building, they're calm now. They're jumping around a moment ago. But on an alumni weekends, a huge crowd full of Carolina blue and a dominant first half for the Tar Heels. But yet Virginia has come in here and they have sucked the life out in the second half and are less than a minute from a truly improbable comeback win.
.45 seconds. North Carolina out of bounds, so Virginia still has it. Virginia needs to throw it in. Oh, and they do. Oh my, what a throw in. Little difference makers like that. Hopkins. And it'll go out of bounds. What a throw in though to find her open when you needed to try to close this game out. Once again, a Virginia Cavalier gets the head on it. 12 seconds. I don't know if they can get all the way up the field. They're going to try, but look at it. Even that ball is challenged by Virginia. The Cavaliers with a purpose here in the second half, and that purpose pays off as it counts down. And what a shocker, down 2-0. The Virginia Cavaliers have knocked off North Carolina by a score of 3-2.
A tale of two halves tonight, Dean. A first 45 dominated by North Carolina, up 2-0 on the scoreboard. An advantage at which they had never given away a regulation game in program history. And Virginia and Steve Swanson make the halftime adjustments to amp up the energy. They got to nearly every second ball, capitalized on their shots, put 3 in the back of the net in the second half, and walk out of Chapel Hill with 3 points in the ACC opener.
The handshakes are coming, but the celebration will be huge for Virginia. North Carolina in front of a big crowd on Alumni Weekend. The alumni were out on the field at the halftime. They got 2 goals in the first half. They're up 2-0. You think everything's fine. No, it's not. In the 54th minute, Rebecca Jarrett goes down Main Street to get the first one. Then Alexa Spaanstra gets the second, and Lisa Godfrey from way downtown will get the third. Your final score, Virginia 3, North Carolina 2.